Boker Tov, good morning. It's still morning. Yes, it is. This is the Aliyah day. It's a Mussaf. It's an additional segment of the Aliyah day for this week of Pinkas. I just wanted to come back here for a few minutes because we ran out of time in the regular Aliyah day, and I did not have a chance to share this insight with you regarding Rosh Hashanah. So I wanted to be sure and do that today, or at this point, actually. Just really good information I wanted you to be able to hear. So there's a parable. This will be brief. There's a parable. It says here on the Kehil Tumash, Rabbi Levi Yitzhak Berdichev, Slika, sorry about that, gave the following analogy. Again, this is relating back to Rosh Hashanah. A king once set out on a journey that led him deep into a thick forest. At one point, he lost his way and could not determine how to get out. A group of villagers passed by, so he asked them for directions back to the palace, but they did not recognize him, so they did not know if they should even help him. They didn't recognize him. Should I even tell him how to get out? And so as it says, moreover, they themselves didn't even know the way back to the palace. They didn't know the right path, so how could they help this guy anyway? So eventually someone passed by, it says, who recognized the king and did know the way back to the palace, so he escorted the king back home. The king was so impressed with the person's knowledge that he made him his personal advisor. A long time after this, it says, the advisor wronged the king in some way, and his anger burned against him. The king told his ministers to judge the advisor and declare him guilty of rebellion. So the advisor was very upset because he knew what this meant. So he asked the king for one last request before he would be punished. So the request was that they both dress up in the very same clothes that they had been wearing the day they first met in the forest. The king agreed, and when he put on the clothes he wore, and then he saw his advisor wearing the clothes that he had been wearing, he remembered at once the tremendous favor that his advisor had done with him, leading him out of the forest and out of an impossible situation. And so the gratitude of the king arose in him, and he forgave his advisors from his misdeed and restored him to his post. So it says, similarly, when God wished to give the Torah, he first inquired of all the other nations, and no one accepted it. No one recognized it. No one recognized the king, but they didn't know what to do. So it says it began to look as if no one was interested in fulfilling the king's purpose or God's purpose for creation itself. And it looked as if God had created the world for nothing, when all of a sudden Israel accepted the Torah. And we did so with enthusiasm. So it says here, eventually our initial enthusiasm waned and we transgressed the Torah's instructions. We therefore blow the shofar to remind God of the day when we first met. This is why I want to share this. It's so beautiful. The reason we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah is to remind God of the day when we first met at Mount Sinai. And the shofar blowing was happening when we accepted the Torah. So the shofar blast reminds God of how we accepted his Torah unconditionally, and he forgives our misdeeds. So both of these parables, it says here, revolve around the idea that Rosh Hashanah is a time of renewal, of returning to the origin and drawing new levels of connection from the inexhaustible well springs of our relationship with God. When we sound the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, when we hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, it's a reminder of where it all began. It's a reminder for us to come back to that point of when we first met. One final thing it says here, the annual renewal is necessary if life is to retain its freshness and novelty. The reality is that we need renewal every year. And this is what Rosh Hashanah provides for us. It says every level of divine consciousness carries its inherent modes of thinking, expression, and action, that is, its own language. If we merely continue cultivating the same type of divine consciousness we've been nurturing the past year, we will remain locked in its intrinsic limitations, ultimately making our religious lives seem repetitive and dull. So it's about going to the next level. We can't live and rest on last year's laurels. It says on Rosh Hashanah, God withdraws the divine energy that sustained the creation for the previous year, replenishes it, makes it new and fresh with renewed vitality. It is therefore an opportunity for us to do the same, to make a quantum leap to a new plateau of divine consciousness that will inspire our lives for the coming year. To accomplish this, however, we can't rely on the words of our prayers because words themselves can contain limitation. Our prayers contain thoughts and ideas and therefore are limited. So we have to express this desire for renewal with an instrument that bespeaks of the nigun type sound of our soul. Something that is an expression without an expression. Something that is able to wail and to bring our heart cry to God. This is the shofar blast. It says, in this way we recapture the innocence and inspiration of a newly born soul. So coming to Rosh Hashanah and hearing the shofar blast is like being born again. This is why the word for shofar and the word for amniotic fluid in the Hebrew has the same root. It's meshefarim and shofar. When we hear the shofar, we're going back to the womb, back to that amniotic fluid, and we become born again. So we experience a newborn soul of the Jewish people, and we receive the Torah Mount Sinai, as it were, as a renewal. Basically, what it amounts to is on Rosh Hashanah, we come back to Eden. It's our opportunity once a year to do like we did when we were kids, to go back and touch base and to renew our entire existence for the year ahead. End of our Mussaf time today. I just wanted to share those parables with you and those insights with you. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom. Be blessed. Be happy. And we'll see everybody right here on Shabbat. Shalom and blessings.